I'm Nicola Coughlan, and for BBC Radio 4, this is history's youngest heroes. Rebellion, risk, and the radical power of youth.
She thought, right, I'll just do it. She thought about others rather than herself.
12 stories of extraordinary young people from across history.
There's a real sense of urgency in them, that resistance has to be mounted, it has to be mounted now.
Follow History's Youngest Heroes wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Criminalia podcast. I'm Maria Tremarchi.
And I'm Holly Fry. Together, we invite you into the dark and winding corridors of historical true crime.
Each season, we explore a new theme, from poisoners to art thieves.
We uncover the secrets of history's most interesting figures, from legal injustices to body snatching.
And tune in at the end of each episode as we indulge in cocktails and mocktails inspired by each story.
Listen to Criminalia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Misha Jones, a producer at Wonder Media Network, and I'm so excited to be guest hosting this week's episodes of Womanica. This Black History Month, we're talking about Renaissance women. As part of the famed cultural and artistic Harlem Renaissance movement, these women found beauty in an often ugly world. A 1920s movie theater is quiet. The reel slips into the projector and the screen lights up. Suddenly, moving pictures take the stage. Lines of Black soldiers march in unison after returning from the Great War. The filmmaker has worked to ensure that these soldiers get the credit they deserve from the American public. When the projector goes black and people applaud, the filmmaker will return to one of her many other creative endeavors. Put your hands together for today's Womanica, Jennie Louise Touissant Welcome. Jennie was born Jane Louise Vanderzee on January 10th in either 1885 or 1884. She was the firstborn of 6 children, enough people to start a band, which is exactly what the family loved doing. Jennie and her siblings singing filled their house in Lenox, Massachusetts. Jennie was exceptionally talented when it came to art and music. She welcomed other students in the morning playing songs on the organ, and she closed the school day out the same way. She occasionally decorated the school blackboards and chalk drawings too. Her family encouraged her talents. As a teen, she attended the Kellogg School of Art a few towns over in Pittsfield. She then got her first paying art gig, keeping a sick, old woman in town entertained by drawing for her. She also toured around playing piano for other churches. In the early 20th century, she and her family moved to Harlem for more stable work, with the mountains fading behind them as they headed south. Not long after Jennie landed in the Big Apple, she met her husband. Ernest Toussaint Welcome was lightning in a bottle. He was an inventor, entrepreneur, and artist in his own right. He matched Jennie's creative spirit and ambition. When Jennie had an idea, Ernest said yes, and. After they married, they bought a brownstone in Harlem. Several of Jennie's family members also moved in. The bottom floor became the Toussaint Conservatory of Art and Music, the first of the newlyweds' many business pursuits. To promote their new conservatory, they took out an ad in the NAACP's first publication in November of 1910. On the very first page, the ad read, "The most up-to-date and thoroughly equipped conservatory in the city, conducted under the supervision of Madame E. Toussaint Welcome, the foremost female artist of the race." The rest of the page listed the number of art and music classes offered, from sketching to watercolor or oil painting, to piano, voice, reed, and brass instrument lessons. As they dabbled in several businesses, Jennie and Ernest added a new field to the repertoire: film. Welcome to the Toussaint Motion Picture Exchange. Like many other film production houses, they started out in newsreels. But Jennie had bigger plans than the news. She used film to rewrite the racist messages that had already appeared in other silent movies. Jennie then found her newest inspiration: the Black soldiers fighting in the Great War. As World War I broke out across the Atlantic, Jennie used her talents to highlight the contributions of Black soldiers. In 1916, the Toussaint Studio released a film called Doing Their Bit, which emphasized the patriotic participation of Black soldiers fighting overseas in the American Army. Some researchers believe that Doing Their Bit may have been produced in direct response to The Birth of a Nation, which was released a year prior. Jennie also designed postcards commemorating Black soldiers. The Toussaint Pictorial Company printed out 1 million of these postcards. These prints were so stunning that one of Jennie's designs was turned into a wartime poster by the U.S. government. It was used for the War Savings Stamp and Liberty Loan drives. Inked in thick black letters, the poster was titled Charge of the Colored Divisions, Somewhere in France. Under Jennie's drawing, the poster itemized how far donations could go. A $50 bond will buy bandages for 100 wounds, or a $50 bond will buy 1 6-inch shell and the power to fire it at a U-boat. Jennie was the only Black artist that the National War Savings Committee commissioned. Around 100,000 copies of the poster were printed in color and distributed across the country to get the everyman to support the cause. Later, Jennie compiled a 79-page book featuring essays, poems, and pictures of Black soldiers. The book highlighted the soldiers' patriotism, their strength, their courage, and perseverance. When the war was over, Jennie and Ernest moved the Toussaint Conservatory of Art and Music to Jamaica, Queens. The couple expanded into real estate, which Jennie took on full-time. Once Ernest passed away in 1941, Jennie continued the couple's work. In 1953, the New York Age newspaper praised Jennie as a pioneer in the field. That was just 3 years before she died of cancer in 1956. Posthumously, little remains of Jennie's work. Her films and paintings have been lost, and there are no physical copies of the war posters. Much of what we know about Jennie is through her brother, James. He wrote biographies about his sister and went on to become a famous Harlem Renaissance photographer. But even in her brother's biographies, Jennie's own talents are clear. In one, James is quoted saying, "She always had the house and yard full of children. She'd teach them painting and drawing and music and wouldn't charge any fee. She was just interested in their learning." All month, we're talking about Renaissance women. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz and Jenny Kaplan for letting me guest host the show this week. As always, we're taking a break for the weekend. Talk to y'all Monday.
I'm Nicola Coughlan, and for BBC Radio 4, this is history's youngest heroes. Rebellion, risk, and the radical power of youth.
She thought, right, I'll just do it. She thought about others rather than herself.
12 stories of extraordinary young people from across history.
There's a real sense of urgency in them, that resistance has to be mounted, it has to be mounted now.
Follow History's Youngest Heroes wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Criminalia podcast. I'm Maria Tremarchi.
And I'm Holly Fry. Together, we invite you into the dark and winding corridors of historical true crime.
Each season, we explore a new theme, from poisoners to art thieves.
We uncover the secrets of history's most interesting figures, from legal injustices to body snatching.
And tune in at the end of each episode as we indulge in cocktails and mocktails inspired by each story.
Listen to Criminalia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.